Hello and welcome back to Bookmark Chronicles. Today I have recommendations for you. I feel like I haven't done recommendations in a really long time, but today I am going to be recommending some billionaire romances. This is a trope that I do enjoy. For the most part, I feel like a lot of times we get a main character who's like, I can't take your money, despite the fact that they're like struggling financially. And that irritates me because take the money. If you are struggling financially so badly to the point that you don't know if you're going to be able to pay your rent, or you don't know where your next meal is coming from, and someone is just like, I'll take care of it for you. Take the money. What are you arguing for? In this economy, don't piss me off. Take the money. If it's literally not going to impact them in any way, shape, or form, take it. And I get it. As someone who is hyper independent, it took me a long time to be okay with people buying things for me or doing things for me, but I got over it. And so the main character can too, especially if it literally makes no difference in their life. But anyway, I am going to talk about 5 billionaire romances. I do also have an honorable mention, but I'm going to start with the book that I actually have a physical copy of, and that is Only for the Weak by Natasha Bishop. This is a very popular book. Most people have heard of it, but if you're unfamiliar, we're following Janelle, who is the maid of honor in the wedding of her sister and her ex-boyfriend. Now, this is a destination wedding in Mexico, and everyone thinks that it's super weird for Janelle. She really doesn't care. She's just there to support her sister. That is all she cares about. However, her sister is being very weird towards her. She's making her run errands the entire time that they are supposed to be relaxing an extra week before the wedding guests arrive. And the best man, Rome, notices how stressed she is and decides that he's going to make it his personal mission to make sure that he can relieve as much stress for her as possible. If you haven't read this yet, you might have heard about it. This is the book where he rents a yacht just so she can read in peace. So that is just a snippet of how Rome really dedicates his time to making sure that she is as stress-free as possible. And it's actually a really sweet story. This is also a forced proximity since they are at a resort in Mexico getting ready for the wedding, and he's the best man, she's the maid of honor, so they have to work together. Next is technically a series recommendation. There are 2 books out right now. I've read them both, rated them both 5 stars, and that is Men of Nirvana by Phoenix Collins. The first book is Stroke of Luck, and the second one is Rose in Bloom. So in the first one, we're following Lucky. She is a college student. She's studying engineering, and she also has a cheer scholarship. However, she gets injured, and so she has to take a year off, and then she is working at the club Nirvana to finish paying her way through school. She is living with her boyfriend at the time, who is a complete piece of shit, and he ends up kicking her out. And so this exchange happens in front of one of the owners of Nirvana, Carter, and he's like, okay, well, you can come live with me in my penthouse. I'll just buy you a new wardrobe, it's fine. And she's like, what? At first she's very, very skeptical, and they do end up initially agreeing to be friends with benefits, and of course it turns into much more than that. But this is also forced proximity and workplace romance. The second book is Rose in Bloom, where we are following Victor, who is Carter's father, and Rosie. This is an age gap, supposed to be friends with benefits situation, but Rosie ends up getting pregnant, and Victor is determined to make sure that not a single thing stresses her out throughout this pregnancy. He wants to make sure that she and the baby are comfortable, and he literally does everything in his power to make that happen. And it's a really sweet story. Again, really loved both of those, and really looking forward to the third book, which should be coming out in summer of 2026. Then we have Hostile Takeover by Christina C. Jones. This is the first book in the Blackwood Billions series. In this one, we're following Nolani. Her family owns a grocery store, and her father pretty much sells the company without telling her. He sells it to Orion Sterling, whose family owns this huge corporation. And Orion is basically like, you can have your company back if you marry me. So we have a marriage of convenience here. And I enjoyed this story. I will admit that. I really, really like Nolani. I do want to reread this when the next book comes out, which probably won't be for a little while, but I have to admit, I don't like Orion. He's an asshole. And I don't like when the love interests are mean to each other. Granted, he's kind of just doing it to like get under her skin. He's just fucking with her here and there, doing little things. But I didn't love that. On the flip side of that though, he is very much my wife, my wife, my wife. Don't fuck with her, don't touch her, and constantly reminding her money is not a concern for you anymore. Stop trying to make it one. So while I appreciate that, I still think he's an asshole. Next is Christmas in Spite of You by Casey Mills. I talk about this in my Black Christmas romance vlog, so I will have that linked in the cards and the description. I started this book and thought that I was gonna hate it, but I ended up really liking it. This one is forced proximity because our main character, Noelle, lists her apartment on this Airbnb-like site because she's planning to go visit her parents for the holidays. She gets sick, she ends up not being able to take the trip, and she doesn't take down the listing in time. So this man shows up at her door and they have to share her apartment for like a week, I think. There were a lot of things about Canton that I did not like at first, but he does grow on me, like I said. And another dynamic here is it's not exactly grumpy sunshine, but Canton hates Christmas and it's Noelle's favorite thing. I mean, her name is Noelle. She literally goes all out for Christmas, and he kind of starts to feel the Christmas spirit when he realizes how happy these things make Noelle, so he does feed into that. He was also on my episode of Book Boyfriends That Would Fight Your Ex, so he gets points for that. But I did really like this one. If you like forced proximity and you like holiday romances, then I would definitely recommend. And my last one is His Majesty by Sean. This one is a quick little novella. It's the first in a series. I've only read the first one so far, but this is also a second chance romance. Majesty and, what's his name? Josiah, okay. Majesty and Josiah were together for like 3 years. He originally started making his money illegally, and then he turned that into a legal business, left all that behind because she very specifically said that she did not want to be involved in any of that. However, there are some parts of the relationship that he just was not providing to her, and she was no longer willing to settle. And so they do break up for about 6 months, and then we see them come back together. And this is a situation where he had to realize that just because he was providing for her financially does not mean that there were not other things that she needed. And I think that the way that he came to that conclusion, while it was stupid that it took him so long, the way that he did it, I appreciate the way that he approached it and how he proved that he was willing to do those things. So like I said, this one's a little novella, very quick, but I did really enjoy it. I do also have an honorable mention that I would give to The Replacements by Shay Sanders. This is book 1 in the Jackson Brothers series, and even though Taurus is not a billionaire, he does have money and he makes it known, and he's not shy about spending it on her. This one is about our main character, Savannah, who finds out that her husband is cheating, so she comes up with an exit strategy. That includes her finding a job because she has not worked in a while. She has been a housewife, and she feels that in order to go out on her own, she's going to need to have her own money. So she ends up applying to be Taurus's assistant. This one is Grumpy Sunshine. He is very mean. He hardly ever smiles. He's constantly yelling at people in the office, and she has this super bubbly personality. She leaves sticky notes around his office encouraging him to have a good day. The dynamic between the two of them is kind of hilarious at first because they're literally just polar opposites, but it is really cute when they finally do come together and realize their feelings for each other. So just wanted to throw that in if you needed one more. But those are all of my billionaire romance recommendations for now. Let me know if you have read any of these, if they are on your TBR. What are some of your favorite billionaire romances? Otherwise, that's all I have for you today, and I'll see you in the next video.